Hi, so I will tell you why you should never use Supabase. Now, Supabase is a very appealing product that you get everything for free, authentication, and all the features. But you know, vibe coders love it. But as soon as you start to look for more advanced features, it starts to get rough, really, really rough. So let's just first start with the main part, which is, I think, database for any of the product. Database is the main part. Now here I have made a dummy project, and if I go to database and let's create a new table. So you can create a table here, but let me just make it for demonstration. Let's just name it test and save it. And now I think the RLS policies won't be enabled. So we will need to enable it. Well, I think it should be done from here. Regardless, I'm not sure whether from where should we do it, but let me just show you what I wanted to show you. So here we have roles. We have to use an anon role on the front end, and here we have policies. And if we create a policy for test table, you can see we have to provide an SQL statement. Now, what's the best we can do? The best we can do is to basically tell okay that the user who is the owner of the table can only work with it. But that's not the most advanced use case you can have. That is the least advanced use case you can have in an application. So okay, I want to tell that please don't don't let anyone who is other than the user who made this use it. How can I do that? For doing that, I will first have to make a field called user here. My bad, it's here. So first you will have to add a column called user or owner, something like that. And then you will have to basically work with that. But in reality, what if you are going for an organization type? So one thing can be edited by multiple people. So maybe you have something like three roles. One is admin, one is a manager, and one is a general employee. And then if some things are like that, manager has made it, but the admin should also be able to change it. But how does that work in Supabase? It does not. And RLS is, I think, very, very, very restrictive. Even if the RLS fails, you don't get a reason. If you are trying to debug it, you have to just guesswork it that why the RLS is failing. Rather than that, you should get some logs here, right? In logs, but there are no logs. That's one thing. Now, when it comes to uh, database functions, so they say that okay, you can use database functions for that, but then you'll have to make a bunch of functions for each and everything. Then what's the point of using this? At that point, we can just write custom code. Similarly, this edge functions, so they also say that you can use edge functions to have a proper validation layer, and only after that you can check, you can make the changes directly from the edge function, which is a good point. But I don't think edge functions are made for that. Edge functions are made to do compute simple, like really easy at near the user's location. So recently they have added this, I think, but earlier there was no option to edit the code directly here. But now since we do have it, let me just show it to you what I mean. So first here we will get the user's JWT token. We will extract the JWT details, the user details, and then from here we will have to basically check what's the role of the user in that organization, and then if he has the power to edit it, then go ahead and edit it. But this way, just to make a CRUD operation, we need four edge functions on one table for a basic CRUD operation, and things can go far from CRUD. And you know, obviously there is not going to be one table, there is going to be multiple tables, and that also creates a problem. Another thing I think an issue is that, so anything which you store in a bucket right here, that is not really an efficient way to mention the bucket item. You have to mention its path or the file name, and I don't think it's very efficient. What should be the case is that you mention the file ID, but what that's not what happens. You need to mention the file path. Otherwise, there is no way. I tried mentioning the ID also. There were issues which I ran into, and also if if something is an orphan, basically if a storage object is orphan, it doesn't get deleted by default. It has to be basically, you have to go ahead and delete it by your using custom code. So, and the main reason why ID is the issue, you can't in the Supabase client library. There's no option to get an object by ID. The only way to get an object is by using the object name or the object location, whatever you can call it, using that. So I think that's a big issue, because I don't think you want to mention the object's name rather than the ID itself, because since we have the object's detail in the database, not like we are mentioning the S3 location. In that case, it would have been different. And here, there should be a way to have a cascading delete function, delete effect here, because if entry gets deleted in the database, then why should the file related to it be here? It should not be, and that's the issue. Now let's go ahead and see other things. So one is SQL editor. Now I don't have much problems with this editor, but I think that there should be good ways to have something to work with it. I think that migrating, and you have to write the migrations, right? So all cool that I can definitely write migrations, but I think at the end it becomes a huge headache to manage all the migrations for the table. Like I can write a SQL query here, execute it, okay, fine, but well, I have a migration, but I don't. I want to also manage my old migrations. How can I do that without making a bunch of folders and sorting it myself? I think there should be better way to do it. And then the logs. The logs are cool, but the same issue. The Postgres logs don't tell you why the RLS is failing. It tells you what is happening, but not why it's failing. Let's see the API docs. Nothing much to see here as far as I know. I have never wandered around this location. And now, one more thing. The way RLS works is very bad, to say the least. Now, recently they have added column privileges, as far as I know. So these are new or API keys, legacy GWT keys, add-ons, vaults. Okay, so I think recently they added column privileges. Yeah, it's in alpha. So the user won't be able to edit these columns. This functionality was not even available for quite some time now. So if user has an ability to edit the table, he can also edit the created at date or updated at date or created by updated by. And if you don't want that to happen, then I guess then you have to basically, make such a robust RLS policy which you won't be able to debug if it fails. So that's a huge issue. Now here you can see authenticated, update, insert, delete. Right? So I guess this is a good change, but I think then still we have to manage the policies at two places, which is again a problem. Now, I like Supabase auth really well because it works really good, and I don't have any issues with the auth itself because I have used auth extensively, and it's, I loved it. It's easy to set up and all. Well, let's see. I think they have added something called migrations now. So I'm not sure. Okay, so I guess we have to work with the CLI, and CLI is itself in a whole new lore why it's an issue. That first you have to get the edge functions on my local, then make the changes and then test it. And running Supabase on the local is not a very loving task to do. Like it's I don't like it basically, because what's the point of this if you have to run it on local? also what's the point, because this is a bunch of setup, everything is separate, not like edge functions. This is an whole app, it works on a microservices basis, so it has bunch of smaller services which it relies on, and that really becomes a problem, at least for me. I'm not sure what other things. And then comes the pricing part. The pricing is, I would say, good to start with, bad to continue with. So if you see their pricing, $25 per month, cool, and the team is $600 per month. But I feel that as soon as you have to upgrade the server because you are getting a lot of load, they charge you a lot more than something like AWS will charge you. You can see, let's see the cost. So $210 for 4 core ARM processor and 16 GB of RAM. Is it for the database? I think it's for the backend itself and not for the database. Let's see. Yeah. So in this case, you can see $210. If you go to AWS, it will be $100. Now I know that this would also increase the egress fees, which usually AWS and other providers like that charge, and it can go out of hand. But still, I think it is way more expensive than hosting it ourselves. And I don't think you should host it yourself because it's such a mess to host it yourself. Uh, it was even a bigger mess earlier, I think, but now it is a little better, but definitely still a mess. And then the vendor lock-in. Vendor lock-in is crazy on this platform. You have to be basically, I would say, you can't migrate away from Supabase very easily. It's a very big headache. I know it is open source, but still, the way the code works in this one, I don't think it's easy to migrate away. And I think it's a good platform to start with if you're testing it out, but I don't think, you know, you should uh, continue with it if your application is serious and getting some traction. There are also some stability issues with this.